Ready?
I'm looking forward to it.
Speaking of culture, there is a culture in the NBA that I find concerning.
It's a 3.
Did you hear Bob Myers yesterday on
Every
the
word of it.
great Steiny and Goo show without Steiny, which is the new name of the show, by the way?
Yeah, and I actually heard the part where JD said, yeah, Steiny will be back in 2 weeks to ask you about your contract. And Bob kind of laughed at that because I guess they didn't ask him about his contract.
Yeah, why didn't they? I mean, right? I don't know. What's he going to say? So that'd be the response to that?
Right.
I don't know. I personally feel like let's hear him not say it. Let's hear him not say it. I mean, that is an elephant in the room.
It's right on the
now.
table.
Yeah, that's an elephant in the room, and I would love to ask that question to Bob in a way that maybe maybe you'd get some sort of an answer. Sometimes I like to hear people's non-answer just so that you can hear the tone and maybe try to gather something from the non-answer. But we did get plenty of stuff that we want to address. And this is a perfect sort of lead into something Bob said about load management. Can I read you something from the Lakers last night?
The Lakers.
You ready for this, Spadone? The Laker girls. Except for not the Laker girls. This is the Laker boys. One of them's name is Anthony Davis. Darvin Ham. I want to know how this hits an NBA fan. Darvin Ham, the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, said last night that Anthony Davis's absence, remember? Like, Spadone came in during the show. Anthony Davis is out tonight. We're like, oh, he hurt his feelings after they got dunked on the night before. And Spadone was mad because he thought it was a foul and all that stuff. Apparently had nothing to do with injury at all. Darvin Ham, are you ready for this, NBA fan? They called last night for the Lakers a must-win. LeBron is out. You are literally down to the studs in terms of your opportunity to maybe make the play-in game. And there's no LeBron. Oh, and D'Angelo Russell got hurt as well. And so your card-carrying one, Anthony Davis, doesn't play, and Darvin Ham says the absence was planned weeks ago, had nothing to do with injury, and moving forward, his status for back-to-backs is day-to-day. So you're telling me that it's just kind of, we'll see case by case as to whether or not you play. And in a game that the Lakers called a must-win, and LeBron and D'Angelo Russell are out, your absolute clear best player and its team decided, let's choose this one so that we can show our new fit to everybody on national TV.
And they won the game, Mark. They won the game.
But that's not my point.
Darvin Ham, genius.
Oh.
And if you look at the back-to-backs, if the NBA really doesn't want to have as much load management, they will do away with the back-to-backs. They already did away with 4 games in 5 nights.
You can't do away with back-to-backs. The season would last all year.
Well, then you could start the season in September, and you can end it in late April. And that's if players really don't want to have back-to-backs, although I would imagine that players would still find a way to not play all 82. But this was a back-to-back, and by the way, the Lakers are at New Orleans and at Houston on March 14th and 15th. Anthony Davis won't play against Houston. Nobody will play against Houston.
Well, they can beat
and
Houston.
They'll win by 11.
Yeah, they can beat Houston without Anthony Davis, and they did beat Oklahoma City with him. And I guess that's not the reason I bring this up today is because the Warriors are playing the Clippers tonight in what is a massive regular season March 2nd game.
Yeah.
And I've told you already this week, I've become very quickly addicted to an NBA where people play and people try. It disgusts me that I am addicted to this, but I'm addicted to it because we don't get it. We do not get to see that anymore. An NBA where people try and play hard. I want to see if maybe something crazy happens tonight. Like maybe they play defense for 4 quarters.
No chance.
Instead of 2.
No chance.
But I'm addicted to it. Did you hear Bob Myers say this yesterday on 95.7 The Game?
What the misconception of the NBA is, there's not a lot of practice time because there's 82 games, and more now than ever, there's a lot of load management. I know people hate that term, but it happens within the building too, where the numbers, the scientific data will say, look, this guy's running hot. He shouldn't go today. So it's not just we don't want people to play as much as it is. There's numbers, there's science saying this guy's burnt, and for whatever reason. And that's kind of what we deal with in the building. Not just fans see it in the games, and I know nobody likes it. And trust me, we wish all our guys were playing just as much as they do because we want to win. But we got to listen to the health component of it.
Okay, so I have no doubt they got to listen to the health component. They've got data.
Right.
I understand it. So let's say, because I'm sure an NFL team has the exact same data, right? Okay, this guy's running hot, and he's a veteran. He's been around the block a time or two.
Think about Thursday Night Football as an example.
Right. I don't need to show him the plays. He knows the plays. What does an NFL team do for that player? How do they handle the week?
They shoot him up, Mark. Toradol. That's how they handle it. No,
maybe.
Seriously, if you have an NFL player, and I'm thinking about Thursday Night Football because everybody plays on Thursday night. And if you're lucky, you play the opening Thursday night of the year, and then you don't have to worry about it the rest of the year. But every other team, you are going to have that one game where you're coming off a short week. And during that time, you know that virtually everybody on your team is not going to be ready. But in the NFL, you cannot load manage. You can't just say, we're going to donk this game off and play all of our twos, and we're going to call the practice squad guys up. First of all, you don't have enough bench players to do that. And secondly, that in the NBA terms is 5 games worth. Every game in the NFL is worth about 5 in the NBA. So you can't do that in the NFL because every game matters too much.
I understand that. So it's not a perfect comp. And I get that the culture would suggest like people would lose it if your quarterback was just like, running hot.
He's running hot.
Gonna need a week off.
Yeah.
Can't do that, and I get it. However, it also seems to me that there is a comp out of the NFL that the NBA could use more, unless maybe they are, and I don't realize it. But I don't hear this very much. If you're going into a week and your player's running hot and you've got 2 or 3 games that week, I don't know, take the practices off. Don't take the games off. This is what they do in the NFL. What did we see with Christian McCaffrey during playoff time? He's not practicing on Wednesday.
They have veteran days.
They're not practicing on Thursday.
But I don't think NBA teams practice as much as you think.
They don't.
They don't practice at all.
They have either, like, we've got shoot around today, or they do. They get a day off late in the season. I understand that. But if you're telling me that there's that much science about all of this stuff, then you're telling me, why can't you, at the beginning of the year, start to figure out an algorithm that gives the players days off on practice days, especially teams like this? This is the Warriors. It appears to me over the last 2 years, you've literally tried to just have your guys healthy in April. You don't care about November and December anyway. So why not put together a plan that starts from beginning to end where you're taking more practice days off? Does Steph Curry need to practice? We talking about practice?
Yeah. But practice is about 10% effort-wise of a game. And that's what, like a practice.
But a day off's a day off.
But not really, in terms of...
Sure it is. If your body needs a day, you get a day.
But a practice is, most of the time, does not involve a scrimmage. And if it involves a scrimmage and you're Steph Curry, you're not going out there and really scrimmaging like you're playing in a game. When Steph Curry plays in a game, it's about an 8-hour day in terms of showing up, getting taped, getting prepped, going out, practicing, 2-ball drill, tunnel shots, all the rest of it, back to the locker room, back out for warm-ups. Then there's the game, there's the post-game interviews and all the rest of it. So I don't think that practices, and teams don't really practice that often anyway.
Well, like maybe their response...
We're talking about practice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, maybe their response would be, we do that. But to me, there's a hell of a lot more days where you're not playing games in the NBA than there are days that you are. So use those days, at least more than you are. I don't hear, do you hear that a lot? I don't hear, the Warriors practiced today, but Draymond and Steph and Klay sat out. I don't hear that very often. Maybe they're doing it more than we realize. So